Okay, so we've looked at 2-note cells and 3-note cells. Now we're going to move on to a 5-note cell. So we're adding 2 additional notes here. We're still going to be keeping the root and the third and a half step below the third, but now we're going to add in 2 additional notes. And those 2 notes are going to change just slightly depending on what the harmony is, so whether it's a major chord or a minor chord or a dominant chord. In fact, all of these are going to have the 5th, so it's really just one new note that's going to be unique to each chord. So let's take a look at what I mean. When we had our first chord, C major 6, we had the root, the third, and a half step below the third. We're going to add now the 5th. We're going to add the 5th to all of these chords now. This 5th is going to be part of all of these 5-note cells. And for major chords, we're going to add the 6th. So our 5-note cell is half step below the third, the 5th, the 6th, and the root. Now there are actually only 2 major chords in this entire song, C major being one and F major being the other one. So let's jump to the F major chord and see if we can figure it out there. Here's our F major 6. So we're going to play the root, the third, and a half step below the third. Also, also the 5th and the 6th. So our 5-note cell for F major 6 is okay. That's all the major chords. Everything else in this song is either minor or dominant. So let's go to the first dominant chord that we encounter, which is E7. And we've been playing this. So for our 5-note cell, we're going to have the root, the third, a half step below the third, the 5th, and instead of the 6th for dominant chords, we're going to use the flat 7. So our 5-note cell for E7 is okay. The next chord we encounter is A7. So we have the root, the third, a half step below the third, the 5th, and the 7th, the flat 7th, of course. So our 5-note cell for A7 is then we get to our first minor chord, which is D minor. So we're going to play the root, the third, a half step below the third, the 5th, and the flat 7. So the same intervals as on the dominant chords, the only difference being, if you analyze the relationship between these 2 notes and the root, you'll find that it's slightly different from minor to dominant. But that's not really important right now. The root, the third, the half step below the third, the 5th, and the 7th. So our 5-note cell for D minor is let's just do a few more so we can kind of demonstrate a few more examples. We have A minor. So we're going to have the root, the third, a half step below the third, the 5th, and the flat 7th. So here's our 5-note cell for A minor. Let's do D7. For D7, we're going to have the root, the third, a half step below the third, the 5th, and the flat 7.
Thanks for taking a look at this video. If you'd like to be notified the next time I release free content on YouTube, you can click on the subscribe button on this page. It's absolutely free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now, if you'd like to study with me for free for 30 days, click on the Piano Success Playbook in the bottom left-hand side, and you'll get 30 days of lessons absolutely free of charge. I look forward to working with you in the next lesson.